Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Make Today Mammoth. I am your host, Dallas Hardcastle, and I am super excited for you to be here. Today, we're going to talk about you getting results and getting them quickly. And the way that we do that is to make sure that we are not buying into the story that it is information overload, but for most of us, it is implementation underload. I'm excited for you to be here. If you are watching this on the YouTubes, you see the smile. And if you are listening to us, I hope you can hear the smiles. We are so happy to be here. Dallas Hardcastle, and we are so glad if you are a first-time listener that you have decided to join us, and we are here to deliver a ton of value for you. If you are one of our returning friends, thank you so much. We appreciate you very, very much. The only thing that we ask, if you can please, is help us be able to move up into the algorithm so that more people can find our show. This is what my buddy Mark used, and I love the term, but he called it's kind of that handshake agreement. It's the gentleman's agreement. If you can just give us a 5-star review or like us or make a quick comment underneath, that allows more people to be able to find us, and we are here to help them for free. We're here doing this for free to help them. So please help us be able to do that. And that helps us to be able to serve and reach more people. So on with today's episode. This is a huge one because as doing what I do, I get to work with a whole lot of business owners, and I've been able to work with a whole lot of business owners now for going on, well, it's been well over, 25, 26 years now. And being able to do that has allowed me to see a whole bunch of patterns that repeat over and over and over again. And one of these patterns that I see repeated, unfortunately, is folks not putting in the effort and the actions because they are too busy researching, thinking, trying to get themselves more informed, trying to get themselves super ready no matter what, trying to make sure that their toolkit is completely filled, that they're armed with all the information so that it's absolutely impossible for things to not go their way because they're just loaded to bear. And now there's no way things can't work out for them. And unfortunately, that's not the way it ever works out. So, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, information was the thing that was being kept behind the locked doors. Information was the thing that people were seeking. That's why people were going to schools and higher education and university. That's why people would go to the technical schools and the technical colleges. That's why people had to go out and buy the books and read the books and do all this stuff because there was information that was being guarded. It was being withheld. You go back, of course, hundreds of years, and that was the highest information. The people that had the information and that could speak the best and communicate the best and write the best were the ones who tended to be the ones leading and being in control of societies. 30 years ago, when we didn't have the internet, that was the piece that was missing, was the information. Today, the information is everywhere. So one would think now that the information is everywhere, everyone would be super successful. Everybody would be millionaires and multimillionaires because the information is everywhere, right? Unfortunately, that is not the case. The information is indeed everywhere. But then the next thing you hear, and really, it's an excuse to me, but if you want to use it as the reason, fine. People now say, oh, it's information overload. There's too much information. If I'm searching how to do this, there are 16 million videos. If I'm wanting to learn AI, there's several hundreds of thousands of these things. If I want to learn YouTube, if I want to learn advertising, if I want to learn marketing, if I want to learn how to build a business, how to get into insurance, how to fill in the blank. Friends, my experience tells me now for going on, as I say, about 26, 27 years now, it is not information overload, my friends. It is implementation underload. And what I mean by that specifically is that the only way you will ever get a result, the only way you will ever get a result is by taking action. The only way, my friends, I hope this hits you. We are all going to face uncertainties. We are all going to face discomfort. We are all going to face just fear. Sometimes it is just stifling fear. Getting up on the stage and you feel like you're going to pass out from fear. Launching that first campaign, writing that first article and publishing it online. building those first pages, putting out your first funnels, having your first sales calls, your first conversations. If you're selling door to door, knocking on those first doors. But friends, the overthinkers of the world, the people who are saying too much information, are unfortunately focusing on the wrong thing. So I want to get real tactical here for just a few minutes because I want to see you succeed. That's the only goal that I am here for these podcasts, for this information. I want to see you succeed, my friend. So this is my tactical advice for you. If you want to get into sales, which I think is a phenomenal skill set, because when you get good at selling, you can almost always be able to add revenue, income, profits into whatever situation you're in, almost any situation. You become good at selling and you will have thousands of job opportunities open up for you. If you're working for yourself and if you're going through a down, if you're in that trough, if you're on tough times, man, you can sit there and work phones, work emails, work conversations, and you can get yourself and sell yourself out of that hole, out of that trough, and get yourself back up top. But if you want to learn sales, you're brand new and you want to learn sales, reading 20 sales books is probably not the solution. Getting on and watching 20 or 30 YouTube videos is probably not the solution. Listening to 30 or 40 podcasts on selling is probably not the solution. Spending, weeks and months Googling stuff and reading and downloading and attending these webinars and looking at these reports and these podcasts and these YouTubes and taking all this information. So you've learned all the things and obstacles and objections and how to overcome these things and build value equations and building rapport and how to be able to overcome this and talk through that. All of that stuff tends to go out the window really quickly when you pick up your first phone and you get in your first conversation. So I want you to understand this very clearly. Am I saying to just pick up the phone, have no idea how to sell, know nothing about selling, nothing about leading a conversation, nothing about speaking and asking good questions and getting good answers and being able to do real problem solving and do real good coaching and consulting over that call to really figure out what the real issues are, what they're really facing, the real pain? Yes, but on the shallowest of levels, friends, because the thing you will learn is that if you watch 20 YouTube videos on selling and then you go to make your first calls, stuff just comes up you've never seen or heard on the videos. It's a real human, it's real life. There are real circumstances, real questions get brought up. You're just like, There is no way to cheat yourself through the ability to be able to get on and perform the action. And this gets into something that I talk about frequently, but the speed of implementation, the faster you can get yourself into those first 100 sales calls, your growth just starts to go crazy. The thing that we do, however, is we pacify ourselves. How do we pacify ourselves? We pacify ourselves to be able to go to that path of lesser resistance. What's harder? What's easier? For most of us, if we're faced with picking up the phone that we may look at the time that looks like it probably weighs about 800 pounds to make that sales call, or to hop onto YouTube and watch a 45-minute video on sales practices and how to become a master salesman or master salesperson, which one are we going to do? Which one's easier to do? I just want to watch one more video before I make that call. And then you do that. Like, that video was really more about this and not so much about that. Here's a podcast. I think I'm going to jump on and listen to this podcast. Okay, pick up the 800-pound phone, or, here's a real quick little article on something about overcoming the 6 biggest obstacles and objections on a high-ticket sales call. Let me go ahead and just read through this report first. Does that sound familiar? It probably does. I'm telling you these things because, believe me, and I hope you always, like every single time, I'm here not because I have all the answers. I have a few of the answers. I figured a few things out, but I'm not here doing this because I have all the answers. I'm here because I've made tens of thousands of mistakes, and I am making them every day. This is fairly early in the day, and I've already made a couple. There's a lot more day to go. So I have made tens of thousands of mistakes. And these mistakes were all made by, guess what? By trying, by doing. I didn't make mistakes watching YouTube videos. I didn't make mistakes listening to podcasts, to reading books, to watching reports, to attending a training webinar. I didn't make mistakes doing those things. The mistakes came when I was on the phone having a conversation and I screwed it up. It was when I tried to launch the thing and it wasn't put together properly. It was when I tried to build the page and I didn't build it right. It was when I tried to send out the email and I got the account shut down. It was when I tried to sell my first thing and I wound up selling the thing that nobody wanted because I was just sure they wanted it, but I hadn't done any research to find out if the market was actually wanting and craving my solution. I have made tens of thousands of mistakes. That's the only reason I'm here. And I'm here to share that because I want to see you get into the result stage of your business as fast as possible. Because business at the end of the day is just doing, looking at or paying attention to the result, measure the result, what happened with that activity you just took. If it went pretty well, do more of it. If it didn't do so well, how can you correct it? How can you perform a little bit of course correction and then now move forward the next time with that course correction and now deploy action again? If it works better that time, cool. If it goes a little worse that time, we course corrected, but maybe we course corrected the wrong way. Now we want to provide another course correction. Do that. I think this will be a little bit better thing. Pick up the phone, build the thing, create the campaign, build some marketing, do the funnel, do the pages, whatever that is, do. The research shows that once we are doing for about 20 hours, we get through a significant amount of the growth. And this is good old Pareto 80-20, right? Which I love talking about. But we get it through about 80% of our growth. So if you are playing guitar and you'll play guitar for 20 hours, you get about 80% of the way there. Like you understand the chords and the strumming and kind of how to have your hands and how to kind of place your fingers on the frets and how to be able to create some different sounds and how to be able to pluck the strings a little differently, how to be able to hold the body a little differently. If it's here, neck down here, things you can do. 20 hours into it. Sales calls. You're terrified to do sales calls, but I got great news for you. You're 20 hours away from being 80% of that curve. You're 20 hours away. So you're 20 hours away from being able to be pretty good. I'm not saying you're great. You're not the A player. You're not the master. You're not the genius. But you spend 20 hours making sales calls and holy cow. Spend 20 hours going door to door. If you're selling services, holy cow. 20 hours learn Chat GPT-4 or AI. Holy cow, 20 hours to build sales pages. Holy cow, 20 hours to start learning copywriting and how to influence people, how to speak a little differently, communication. Holy cow. Again, you're not an expert. You're not great. You haven't mastered it. There's a ton of great growth, but 20 hours in and you're at that 80% where you can be kind of dangerous. You can start picking up the phone and maybe your next 10 or 20 sales calls, you get 2, 3, maybe 4 sales. Now, all of a sudden, it's like maybe the first 100 calls, you got 1. You're like, this isn't for me. But then maybe the next 100, you get 6. And then maybe the next 100, you get 9. The next 100, you get 13. And now you're like, oh, you see, friend? But it has to be the action. So friend, take the action, do yourself the favor. It is not information overload, it is implementation underload. Do yourself a favor, get in there, implement, be a machine, make it work, make it happen. And above all else, my friends, make today mammoth. We appreciate you checking us out and listening in today. And you make the rest of your day just mammoth, my friends. Take care, and we will see you very soon.